is a Hello, welcome to Walk in the Park. My name is Tony Ingram, and today is the 12th of December. This is recorded on episode 209. You can see all of my episodes if you go to my website, walkinthepark.tv. That's actually a URL, a website, walkinthepark.tv. So just go in there. You can get the whole schedule of all our cable casts. This is public access television, Ithaca, New York, Channel 13. Anybody can become a producer at Pegasus. Pegasus stands for Public Educational Government Access System, and Channel 13 is the public access part of it. And you can take a class and learn how to use our studio or use our portable equipment and go out in the field and make videos. Bring them in and make a show and do it in the studio or do it on the computer or do both, which is what I've done here today. And if you go to our website at pegasus.webstarts.com, you can see the schedule of all the Pegasus series and get a lot more information about them, and also find out about the next training that's coming up and certifications. So if you live in the Tompkins County area, you can, in the Ithaca area, Tompkins County area, you can become a producer if you're a participating municipality, and the small fee if you're not. And join us down here at the studio in the Pegasus Community Media Center. So we have a lot of great things here in the Ithaca area and in the Central Finger Lakes. That we have hills, and we have let's see, what else do we have around here? We have gorges. This is at Teganic Gorge. We've got amazing landscapes, big waterfalls like Ithaca Falls and Teganic Falls and Buttermilk Falls and Lucifer Falls, and of course we have the lakes. This being Cayuga Lake. This is looking off near the bow of the MV Handle, Ithaca Boat Tours. I used to work for them for 10 years, actually. And the other boat in the lake there is the MV Manhattan, which was a dinner boat, no longer operating. But there are some other boats in the lake, including the Teal, the Discover Cayuga Lake, the floating classroom, which used to be on the Handle as well. But the Handle Ithaca Boat Tours is still operating in the May through October from the Ithaca Farmers Market. So we have the Finger Lakes, and they're amazing. And we're down in the lower right there at the lower end of Cayuga Lake. But some people don't actually realize where the water in the Finger Lakes goes. Well, all of it goes up to that big lake up to the north, Lake Ontario. So how does it get there? Well, most of the Finger Lakes, basically from Canandaigua Lake through all the way over to Otisco Lake, all but 4 of the Finger Lakes, they drain into the Seneca River, which is outlined here in the pink, the violet colored here. And it goes up and sort of zigzags with the Erie Canal, and then goes through the Oswego River, picking up water from the Onondaga Lake in Syracuse and Oneida Lake in east of there. And all goes up to Lake Ontario. So all of our water goes to Lake Ontario. Now the Western Finger Lakes, you can see to the left of the Canandaigua Lake are 4 small lakes. Those all drain into the Genesee River through Rochester. So that water too goes into Lake Ontario. So in a sense, Lake Ontario is the Finger Lakes are part of Lake Ontario. We're part of the Lake Ontario, the Great Lakes, the St. Lawrence River Basin system. So all of our water eventually goes into Lake Ontario and goes out through the St. Lawrence River to the, I don't have that picture, to the North Atlantic. So this is looking off a bluff along the Lake Ontario shore. We're going to go up and take a look at Lake Ontario and Lake Ontario shore. And of course, Lake Ontario is let's go back and look at that bigger picture here. We know the Finger Lakes are a function of the Ice Age. They're relics of the Ice Age erosion of the landscape. So for the past 10,000 years, we've had lakes in grooved valleys that the Finger Lakes are in. But so is Lake Ontario. So are the Great Lakes. They were left behind by the actions of the glacier on the landscape, glaciers. So and up on the shore of Lake Ontario, we get actually the interaction of some glacial features that are pretty amazing. So this is at Fairhaven Beach State Park, and actually this one is at nearby at Sterling Nature Center, and right near Fairhaven Beach. This is west of Oswego, about 15 miles or so. And there's a nice beach there at Fairhaven Beach. I'll show you where that is closer. And you look out, you get to the Finger Lakes and you can look from one side to the other. You can see one from that side to the other, but not the Great Lakes. And so you look out at this great expanse of water. And taking a boat out on the Great Lakes is another order of magnitude of adventure with boating. So we're going to take a look at, as I said, we're going to take a look at the features of the intersection between the land and the lake. And we're going to go to, up at the top of the picture there is a indication of Fairhaven Beach State Park. So it's one of our state parks. When I worked for the state parks, I did things at Fairhaven Beach. We had a recreation program going there. So zoom in a little bit closer. You can see it's southwest of Oswego, and it's east of Rochester, northwest of Syracuse. Okay, going a little more closely. And they're starting to see some features there. Now, in the middle of the picture, just left of middle, there's a label that says Grass Island. Well, that's in a bay, that darker green area. That's actually water, and it's called Little Sodus Bay. Now, west of there is Sodus Bay, a larger bay, and that would be material for another story, another program. But and then to the right of that bay, Little Sodus Bay, is some other coloration. There's sort of some brownish color in there. That's a marsh with a stream going through it, and that's Sterling Creek that winds all through the marsh. So that's marshlands. And then there are islands of dark green around it, and those are features we'll look at more closely here. So where are we here? Well, we'll get into that. So here we are, Fairhaven Beach State Park in the village of Fairhaven. You drive a couple of miles along this corridor out to the shore, and here we are. We're looking along the shore, and the bottom, that dark green area again, is the Little Sodus Bay, which is now held in by seawalls, and then there is a pier that goes out and a channel that's held in by seawalls there for boats to go in and out. So it really is a haven for boats. It's protected from the intensity of the lake. But just above that is a light area, and that is a tannish area along the shore, and that's the beach. And to the right of that is Sterling Pond, that dark brownish greenish area, and then beyond that, the lighter brownish area, that's Sterling Marsh. And we'll be looking at all of those spots there. So let's go to another view of it. Turn it around, looking straight down. North is at the top, and looking right down on the beach area. This is the main activity area of the park. Again, on the left is Little Sodus Bay with a seawall pier separating it from the lake, and then just below the beach area, that reddish brownish area, that is a pond. So let's see, we'll go in more closely. Now we're looking right down on the beach in the parking lot. There's a recreation building, there's a bathhouse and things like that. Parking lots, obviously. So it's probably the nicest beach along the Lake Ontario shore. Park map shows a lot of the facilities. There are campgrounds. There's 2 different campgrounds, tenting campgrounds, and a RV campground, and also there's a cabin area, and then the beach area, and boat launches and so forth. So, and then they have a nice orientation interpretive map showing the different features there. This is right by the beach. It's a nice place. And then a view of the beach. Okay, let's see. So we're looking here. Let's look a little more closely on the beach here. So people are in the water. They're having a great time. It's not a real deep beach. It's great for kids. But in the background, you can see there's some cliffs or bluffs. And those are an interesting geologic feature that we'll get into. Those are called drumlins, those sort of long, rounded hills. And drumlins were formed by the glaciers. Now let's actually take a look at this visualization here from Cornell professor. Got this from, was it Almendinger? I think Rick Almendinger. Anyway, across New York State between, say, Syracuse and Rochester, and actually up to Watertown and as far west as Buffalo, but principally between Syracuse and Rochester, is what's called a drumlin field. And these are features that we're looking at here, visualizations of long mud hills. They're sort of clay, hard-packed clay and other things like sand and gravel and boulders and a real mixture of stuff that the glaciers left behind when they were covering the landscape and finally left the landscape, left these behind. And they were just an unusual set of circumstances that led to the formation of these drumlins. So it's called a drumlin field. There's more than 10,000 of them, and that's pretty amazing. So it's one of the largest drumlin fields in the world, and they are made of dirt. Some of them are made of rock in some places, but these are made of earth, hard-packed clay and silt and sand and boulders and lots of different material in it, but mostly clay, and they are deeply eroded. Now, this is at another state park just a few miles to the west, just east of Sodus Bay, not Little Sodus Bay, but the main Sodus Bay, called Chimney Bluff State Parks, and it is an incredible moonscape, sort of a Badlands type topography, and that's a place you can visit. There is a trail that goes along the top of the ridge there, but that has been closed this year because of erosion. Because this clay, when it's exposed to the lake here, when these drumlins meet the lake, the waves are pounding at the bases of them, so they're undermining them, and anything that falls down gets washed out into the lake by the waves. And so this continually undermines the bluff. And meanwhile, rain and melting snow and so forth erode the face of the bluff, so you get these incredible formations. And Fairhaven Beach State Park has some of these same formations, and we'll take a look at them. And if you look at the look at this picture here, you can see again the marsh, the beach area, the pond, the bay to the left, and then there are these green islands to the right of the pond is a green area. That's a bluff, and then to just below between the road going up and the marsh is another drumlin. These are both drumlins. The one on the below the pond there on the left, the lower left, that one hasn't been eroded by the lake, but the one on the to the right of the beach has been eroded by the lake. And then there's another place where the marsh comes right up. This is upper center now. The marsh and the stream come up very close to the lake, and to the right of that, upper right of that, is another drumlin that's been eroded by the lake. And this is the picture of that drumlin, and it's called Sitz Bluff, and we're going to take a look at Sitz Bluff in a minute. But another interesting thing that's happened is when the lake erodes the faces of these drumlins that happen to be situated right at the lake shore, the material that's eroded off the face of the drumlin is then spread by currents, spread along the shore. So that's what fills in the beach in front of Sterling Pond. That's what fills in the area between the two drumlins in the park there, as we'll see. So let's just get right into that. We're going to go show you a little video now, and we'll go right to it here. Just a sec. We'll get to that one. Bring that right up here. I think that one's it. Coming right up. Okay, so that was obviously unnarrated, but I'll just go over again what we actually did. We went on, they walked along the lakeshore, started out, I guess over by the bluff that's just to the right of the uh, swimming area there, and that's for there's a campground on top of that, and also some other features, picnic area and so forth. But walked the nature trails through there, and then the upper center, just to the right there, we walked along a little beach that was next to Sterling Marsh, where it comes right up to that beach. So it's almost to the lake. So we looked over the marsh. When we started out, we were looking over Sterling Pond, that big pond, and looking over to one of the cabins. But then we went through the woods, and then along the beach, and then to the way upper center right is Sitz Bluff, and that's what we walked along and saw those different views of it. So. So it's a pretty neat landscape. It's very different from what you're used to around here. You're really transported almost like to another part of the country. So it's a lot of fun. Chimney Bluffs is like that too, but like I said, the Rim Trail is closed. But there are some other trails there I think you can still go on. They'll try to get that open again by rewriting the trail in 2019. So we'll see what happens there. So I camped at Fairhaven Beach this time, a couple of times actually, a couple of times this summer. And so I'm going to show you a beautiful sunset that I photographed, videotaped, and we'll jump through the stages of it. And the final few seconds of it will be sort of a time-lapse summary of it. So let's go to that sunset. I'll bring that up, see if I can get the right video in place here. Maybe that one. Sunset, yeah, okay. Coming right up here. So it was a lot of fun to watch the sunset there. Wasn't real spectacular with clouds or anything, but you probably noticed that there were some people walking along the horizon there. They were actually, now this is looking at to the right of center is the beach, and I was shooting from the beach over to the left, and you can see that big pier going out into the lake. That's a channel with piers around it that the boats go out through, so people can walk out on that pier. So that's what you saw out there. We didn't see the out over the open lake there. So So let's zoom. We'll orient ourselves again here. That looking at the upper center, there is the beach, the light area, and then to the left again is the where it says Grass Island. It says that is Little Sodas Bay, and just to the left of the beach, there's a little area that there's a little basin there, just to the left of the beach, a little notch into the land. That's all the park there. There is a boat launch in that area. So let's zoom it even more closely. And down in the lower center, just to the left, that is the boat launch. And we're going to go to that boat launch. And I have a little video of people going out. Now, this will be in the morning when people are going out fishing. And so we'll take a look at what they're doing and how they use the launch and going out into the lake. So let me see if I can get this one up to the right one here. Yeah, that would be right. And so we'll go to the Little Sodas Bay. Okay, that's all the time we have. I want to thank you for joining me. Maybe you'll go up to Fairhaven Beach next summer and you can think about this stuff instead of the winter that's outside. So I want to thank you all for joining me, and as soon as you get a next chance, go out for a walk in the park. Turn off this screen. So we'll just put our final credits here and a little video, and we'll be gone. Here is a